Why did he tell them? Because they were committing sin against God.
No,
But that's not true.
I'll correct you. I'll educate you.
No, that's not true.
All right, okay.
Should I educate you?
These
Because you don't know the context.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
We'll give you the context.
He's making things up on his spot.
Do you know what this has happened? This is in Exodus, chapter 17. So, basically, those Israelites was killing. So now they were saying, you need to kill their fourth generation because of the sin of the fourth generation. Are you saying because you done a crime, now I'm going to kill your grandson? Is that fair on your grandson?
Do you know what they did?
No.
Do you know what they
With
did?
due respect, I'll tell you, because you don't even know the context of the verse. I have given you context, so please don't say something.
He's
that you
making
don't
things
know.
up on his spot. He's making it up.
I am saying, when you ask this brother a question about the moral and compass of Islam, and Allah saying fasad fil ard, the punishment in fasad fil ard means those who done corruption. Allah never ever say in the Quran, kill a baby. A baby is not a sinner. It doesn't matter is a disbeliever baby or a believer baby. The life is sacred. Only the one who are criminal. But your book is completely against bashing, cleaning, sweeping, killing people, innocent life. Telling you that because Israelites, they done some criminal act, now you need to kill their grandchildren. Allah said, do not, لا تزر وازرة وزر أخرى. Every soul has to bear their own accountability. I cannot kill his grandson just because he done act of crime.
Yeah.
His grandson is masum, sinless.
He believe in that scripture in the Bible, in Samuel, but he disagree with the one in the Quran where Allah says, and if you commit fasad for the ard, this is the punishment. So the question is, you're not consistent. You know why? Because you're not honest. You have some dishonesty in you. You're a dishonest person.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No,
you're a hater. You know why you're dishonest? You know why you're dishonest?
You know what?
Because your heart is poisoned with hatred.
Why would you say that?
I will tell you why I said that.
Hatred against who?
Your heart, you hate the truth.
Hatred against who?
You hate the truth.
The truth.
Yes. You know what the truth is?
Let's see what.
Your heart is poisoned with hatred.
So
let's go to the truth. Let's go to the truth.
No, do you agree? God revealed this verse too?
No.
We're not going anywhere.
He's going somewhere else.
Let's finish this off. Let's finish this off.
Finish this off. Let's finish this off.
Now, do you agree that it is morally okay to kill children, and the children didn't done any injustice? I'm asking a yes or no question.
If God Almighty, listen to me, if the creator of heaven and earth and the giver of life commanded them to be killed,
you accept it.
Then they should accept it.
You accept that killing. He said he accepted
because in order for if God is the sustainer of life and He commands those people to be killed, right?
You don't need to justify it. You believe in it, you accept it. That's your choice.
Okay.
Nobody's
now
judging
let me tell you what's the problem here. I agree that God can let me finish your point. Let me finish my point. Basically, what you are saying, it doesn't matter for God. God can do injustice. Are you saying that God
doesn't do injustice?
Okay. Now, prove me that when God telling us to kill children, infant, I am citing all rest of them. When God is asking to kill infant, do you know what infant is?
Okay.
Do infant commit conscious mistake? Two word, conscious mistake.
Conscious, knowingly rebellious. Knowingly rebel against God.
No, they don't.
No.
That's an honest answer.
So that's
I
an
agree
honest
with you.
So they are
I
not
agree with
sinner.
you.
Okay.
So they are not sinner. So
But
now,
let's
if you afflict punishment of someone who is not a conscious sinner or a mistake made, are you going to say God advocating to sweep them, clean them, and murder them? Are you saying that? Do you?
God commanded all those people to be killed. Who am I to say anything?
Okay, fine. Now, if you apply that standard, you should not have any issue with the Quran.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's it.
All right.
Simple.
Job done.
Khalas, just.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Okay.
Shukran.
Okay, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Let's stop there. let's go back to the
Abdullah,
issue.
I need to drink some water.
Right. Carry on.
Carry on.
Yes.
But the thing is that the thing that I've got against Islam and the Quran, right? Is it contradicts history.
Right. Okay. Whose history?
What do you mean whose history?
Right. Do you know history is written by people?
Yes.
And on one hand,
Okay. Okay. Let's take the crucifixion of Jesus Christ.
just 1 second. 1 second, please. Please, 1 second. First of all, if Islam contradicts history, history
Islam
is written. History is written by
Islam's
people.
false.
Yeah, I heard you. Islam is false.
Yes.
I heard you.
Yes.
Islam is false. Islam is false. Islam is false. Heard you multiple times. I get that. I understand that. I've heard that millions of times. I don't have an issue with you saying that. I like that. The question is, if you're saying Islam contradicts history, the question is whose history? Because history have multiple different accounts.
Okay.
So, for example,
All right.
you can have a historical account or multiple different historical account of the same incident. So, which historical account does Islam contradict? Which one?
The crucifixion.
But that's to be specific. Just says Islam does not agree with the crucifixion. It's not an issue.
Islam is telling me that the crucifixion never happened.
When you say Bismillah, some water. No, it's not open. It's not open.
I'm all right. Don't
It's
worry.
not open.
I don't want to.
Your
Okay, thank you.
please, thank you.
The Quran tells me the crucifixion of Jesus never happened.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
So, if the Bible, eyewitnesses, so what? So let me ask you the question. Let me ask you this question. If I was killed and 500 people saw it, and they written down about it, 4 people wrote down about it, that happened. They saw it happen, right? Hundreds of years later, someone says that didn't happen. Who should I believe?
I should believe the 500 you said.
Thank you.
Yes.
So my question then to you is, if the Quran says Jesus was never crucified, but hundreds of eyewitnesses saw it, doesn't that ring a bell to you?
No, it doesn't.
That's you see, there's the issue.
Okay.
Is history is denied
Right.
by the Quran.
Okay.
So you're telling me that you'll believe the Quran over the Bible. Is that what you're saying to me? You'll believe the Quran saying it didn't happen if historically it happened. So are you taking that intellect and you accepting? Is that my question to you then?
Okay. It's a good question. But before we go there,
Answer the question.
well, I have a choice. I do have
Do
a
you
choice.
want to believe it or
First of all, I have a choice. I have a choice if you ask me a question not to answer. If you ask me a question, I can answer it right away. If you ask me a question, I can gather some information from you and then answer it. I have a choice. I'm not working for you. I'm not employed by you. You're not my employer. So the question is, you asked me a question regarding the crucifixion.
Yes.
And you said your problem with Islam or with the Quran is that the Quran denies the crucifixion.
Yes.
Right, I get that. I get that. Now, you are a man that I think have read the Quran. And you are a man that I think, if you read the Quran, you must come across some things about the Quran that is amazing and interesting and truthful, some worth investigating. Now, if you read the Quran and you didn't find anything interesting, nothing amazing, nothing that you agree with, but all you can find in the Quran is things that you resent, then I'm saying to you, I understand the type of person I'm dealing with. So I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you a question. I'm trying to understand.
let's not go into all sorts of. I'm asking you a question.
I know you
For
asked me a question.
To think about.
No, but the reason, let me build the premise in which I'm trying to
I don't want to build a premise.
Right, you don't want me to, but I have the right to. It's my talk time. You have talk time, I have talk time. You give me 2 minutes, I give you 2 minutes. You take a minute, I take. We share. It's a conversation we have it. And I'm trying to ascertain one thing. Do you hate the concepts of the Quran because it's Quran? Or you are an honest person that you read the Quran and you find things that are interesting, you find things that are truthful, you find things amazing, you find things you're not sure about, some you're doubtful, some worth investigating, and some you disagree. A person can read the Quran and come up with a lot of these things, and when they come up with these ideas, I would say to them, that person is an honest individual. Now, when I ask you a question, I'm not trying to avoid answering the question, but I'm trying to understand who am I speaking with. So if I ask you, you read the Quran? Yes. You must find something interesting, must find things amazing, some things you're not sure about, some things worth investigating, further research, some things you agree with, and some things you disagree with. So if you read the Quran and you come away with nothing other than I hate everything, or you resent everything, it tells me a lot about who I'm speaking with.
No. The point I'm trying to make here. Let's talk about consistency. You are saying I have to be consistent. I'm like, okay. So if a book tells me an event never happened, that book's false. Do you see the problem?
I understand your position.
Do you see the problem?
I heard your position.
An event happened.
I heard your position.
An event happened that changed everything, the course of history.
I understand your position.
Now, you're telling me that I've written the Quran, it never happened. That is an absolute total stay away from that book. Because it's lying to me.
Yeah.
Do you understand my point?
Right.
So, explain to me.
Now, explain
to me if this historical event happened and your book denies it. How do you justify it?
You said to me that if the Quran rejects the idea of the resurrection and the crucifixion, you should stay away from that book. That's what you just said.
The crucifixion is denied in the Quran.
Yes. And you said if a book denies the crucifixion, then you stay away from the book.
Yes.
Right. I'm saying to you, a person could say, I'm looking into the Bible. I'm trying to understand the Bible. And they come across the book of Samuel, which... Let me finish. Are you going to interrupt me?
No.
All right, then. If you want, I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to.
You the question.
I know what you asked me.
Forget about Samuel.
Why? You could... Listen, you don't have the authority to tell me what to forget and what to remember. The question, we have in a conversation. If you throw some questions, I will throw some. You throw some information, we share information. I am under no obligation to answer your questions. You're under no obligation to answer mine. I'm simply saying to you, to a point that you made. You said, if a book like the Quran rejects the crucifixion, a person should stay away from that Quran. That's what you said. I'm making a comparative presentation to you and saying, if a person is one to know about the Bible, and he opens the Bible and read that book of Samuel, where it says, kill the babies and the children and kill all of them. A person could come and say, because of that, I want to have nothing to do with the Bible. What would you say?
You are basically saying to me, I don't want to talk about that point.
Sorry?
I want to go to a different point.
What different point?
No, all I'm saying to you is this. The Quran is denying the fact that the crucifixion happened.
Yes.
The crucifixion happened.
Yes.
If you like it or not, it happened.
Yes.
But it's telling me it didn't happen.
Yes.
So I've got to look at the facts. I was like, okay, did it happen? Or did it not happen?
How would you define a fact?
A fact of history is it's been documented by various sources. Okay? Now the Bible is not the only source that the crucifixion was documented in. Okay? But that's for you to find.
Okay.
I'm just saying, if you want to know if the crucifixion happened, don't go read the Bible. Go read other sources that make reference to the crucifixion, because your position on the Bible.
Naz. No, I understand your point. With all due respect.
So hang on a minute. My point,
I understand your point.
Is, history proves the resurrection happened. The Quran's telling me it didn't happen.
This is my brother Naz.
Do you understand my point?
Yes.
So okay. So
this gentleman here is a wonderful gentleman. We had very long conversations, quite interesting conversation, and we reach a point now where we have some new topics, and he is saying he rejects the Quran on the basis that the Quran rejects the crucifixion. He is saying to me the crucifixion is a fact that is undeniable, and almost to say it is unanimous. No one in history has ever doubted or denied or rejected the crucifixion except the Quran. This is his claim. Am I correct? Or correct me if I'm wrong, please.
Okay. The crucifixion happened is a fact of history.
Fact of
It's
history.
a fact of history, right? That is pointed outside of the Bible. It's not just in the Bible made reference. It was an extra biblical.
Who's outside of the Bible, do you mean?
I can't exactly Josephus, or there was some.
Josephus
yeah. Oh no, there was some other documented about it.
Excuse me, sorry.
But Josephus is the only one that's from the 1st century, other than the Bible.
there is
Josephus,
there was documented evidence that the crucifixion took place outside the Bible.
There's none eyewitness accounts. There's no eyewitness accounts.
Okay.
So Josephus himself was an eyewitness.
Okay. Hang on a minute. Eyewitnesses. Okay, let's talk about eyewitnesses.
And you know the Gospels don't actually agree on the day of crucifixion.
Okay, hang on a minute. Did you know that
John says it was before.
The book of John, the book of Luke, and the book of Matthew was written after Paul's letters.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? And Paul made reference to the crucifixion because there was a creed. Over 500 people saw it. And then.
But there's no eyewitness to the 500.
No.
Paul himself wasn't an eyewitness.
Paul was.
And the creed doesn't mention the 500. Paul basically adds the 500 in addition.
No.
But also Paul says that Jesus appeared to Peter and then to the apostles.
Yes.
But then elsewhere he says that he appeared to James and then to the elders. But the apostles are also like the elders, so it's not clear. And also James is thought to be at least the bishop or the head of the church. So it does seem that Paul may be taking two different creeds and he's putting them together.
There's 500 eyewitnesses.
Well, who are the 500?
I don't know. It's 2,000 years
That's
ago.
the thing.
For crying out loud. It's
Yeah.
2005.
But Paul is our only source to the 500.
Okay, hang on.
Paul's the only one that mentions 500.
The point I'm trying to make here.
Yeah.
Right? There's documented history that the crucifixion took place.
And the 500 are not to the crucifixion, by the way.
No, they were witnesses to
for the
Jesus being,
resurrection rather than crucifixion.
Yes, for the resurrection.
Rather
they
than
saw him.
crucifixion,
Over 500 people saw him.
But Paul is our only source for those 500.
No.
Because no one else mentions the 500. Josephus doesn't mention them. Or the Gospels don't.
All the Gospels write about it. All the Gospel writers were witnesses of him. If you go read they witnessed Jesus standing. They witnessed it. They stood in front of him. They touched him.
Yes.
Okay, they touched him and says, "Are you the risen Christ?" Yes, touch me, and you could find out. So the disciples who wrote the Gospels were witnesses.
So you know, Mark is the earliest of the four Gospels.
It doesn't matter.
And Mark doesn't mention the disciples witnessing Jesus. He doesn't have an appearance of Jesus.
So
Are you aware of?
anyone.
Are you aware of what Brother Nas said?
No, I hear what you're saying, but
Are you aware of it before?
What?
What he just said?
So you know Mark,
Yes.
there's no ending to Mark's gospel of Jesus appearing to anyone.
But doesn't.
only the
Are you aware of it?
I understand. Yeah, I'm aware of it.
You're aware?
No.
Are you aware of that? It's
Okay,
pointless
okay,
having a
okay.
prolonged
Hang on
conversation.
a minute,
If
hang
you
on a minute.
introduce new information, if you're not aware of the new information, you can say,
All right.
let me read about it.
Let me put it this way.
Yes.
Let me put
Are
it
you
this way.
aware?
Let me create a scenario. Let me create a scenario quickly for you.
Yes.
All right. I get killed. Something happens to me. You witnesses, you witness, him witness. They all write a different account of events happened in that scenario. Right? They are consistent in certain points. Right? It doesn't matter. They're all pointing to one event. They're all one event. It doesn't matter if they.
What he's trying to say is that there's a
a
consensus of agreement upon the crucifixion. He's trying to purport that,
But
which
there's
is not the case.
consensus in terms of what was the cause of Jesus' death. So even though scholars agree that Jesus died by crucifixion, they don't agree upon as to what was the cause of his death.
You know why the cause of this was?
So it's because crucifixion pierces no vital body organ.
No. I understand.
So different scholars have different
No,
theories.
no.
And there's even a scholar who thinks that Jesus survived the crucifixion. He's a British New Testament scholar.
What is his name?
The Bible says
forgot
clearly
his
he
name.
If you
died and
haven't-
he resurrected. Wait, hang on a minute. So that. Listen.
But there's also like Robert Price.
No, forget about people.
and he's a biblical scholar, and he
listen, forget about
Open
people
to the
who's living
possibility
now.
of Jesus surviving.
Forget about what people say living now. Anybody can say anything, right? Then my point I'm trying to make is, Jesus. There was a historical fact that Jesus died. He lived, he died, and he resurrected.
But when you say fact, what do you mean like probability rather than?
No. Fact.
Because there's no actual eyewitnesses to the crucifixion. There's no death certificate. No one ever checked his pulse or carried an
We are
An
talking.
ECG.
Listen, brother.
Yeah.
We are talking 2,000 years ago. Let's be real. 2,000 years ago.
And
You-
know,
you-
Muslims
you-
don't necessarily deny the event of the crucifixion.
No, but the Quran denies it.
Not the event itself necessarily, but we say he survived the crucifixion.
No, he didn't survive the crucifixion.
You don't
he
think
died-
it's possible for
no,
a
no.
person to survive crucifixion?
No, the point that if he did not rise from the dead, the Christian faith is
over.
Is over.
But you know, him rising from the dead could be him surviving crucifixion.
No.
Hence why
No.
he appeared to
No,
people after
he was
his
buried.
so-called
He was
or
buried
apparent death.
He was buried in a tomb.
Not 5 feet underground,
he
but inside
was-
an airy tomb
He was
where you can breathe and resuscitate.
No,
you can
no,
resuscitate.
No. He was died.
Yeah.
He was there for 3 days, and he rose again.
Not for 3 days, because before it was Sunday morning is when they discovered the tomb. So it's not fully 3 days.
You will say you hear what you like.
It's new information for you.
No,
It is new. I can tell.
Have you heard of the sign of Jonah?
Listen.
It's new information for him.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's with it.
What I'm
No, he's not with it. And I think you need to break things down for him and give him some
You
reference.
know the sign
Number
of
one,
Jonah. Jesus says, "My sign will be the sign."
my friend. The point I'm trying to make here is,
Yeah.
first of all, you're saying, oh, that didn't happen, and then you say, oh, it wasn't 3 days. It was that. No, hang on a minute. The Bible clearly states there was 3 days and 3 nights in the tomb. And now you say, oh, but this, that, and the other. Right?
no, he's not saying that.
you
You got to be
count it,
polite.
it's not
First of all, you are holding the view.
Listen, you everything that
Okay.
everything
I'm
that I
listening to you.
say, you're just like, oh no, but this, blah blah. No.
Like what? Like what? No, you said, and I ask you if I'm quoting you, misquoting you. You make it quite clear that you have a problem with the Quran and the Quran should not be read.
Okay,
Can I finish, please? Please. You have a problem with the Quran and the Quran should not be read on the basis that the Quran rejects the crucifixion. And he was holding the view that the crucifixion is unanimous. There's no doubt. And every scholar or every Christian agrees upon the crucifixion. He's making that assumption.
No, I'm making that point.
Making that point, sorry. And Brother Naz is trying to say to you, number one, the crucifixion has been disputed and doubted, and there are many things has been doubted and disputed about the crucifixion, i.e. the dates,
All right, okay.
and the fact that Jesus did not die from being crucified. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah, but you believe he died, and you say, of course he died. Right. So you're talking to yourself. But if someone says no, and he's presenting the information to you, you would want to know where he get this information from. And you will either want to unpack this information, understand this information, and refute it. But it's new information to you, and you're not entertaining it.
It's not new information.
It is.
No, it's not. What's new to me is you are coming up with all these airy-fairy.
So you are aware that the crucifixion has been disputed. There's disputes, there's contention, there's doubt.
Are you coming at from like a faith believer,
Yeah.
like as a Christian, or just an atheist or secularist?
Oh, you want to know my position?
Yeah, because I can understand if you're a Christian, but if you're like an atheist will say Jesus died 2,000 years ago, but he remained
I
buried.
am a born again Christian,
I see.
right? Born again.
So crucifixion doesn't prove Jesus to be the true Messiah. It only proves him to be a false Messiah.
Okay, wait. Okay,
why
do you understand Christianity?
Probably not as much as you, but
Okay.
I just know.
Do you understand Christianity?
Not as much as you.
Okay. In the beginning
Was the Word.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the
The beginning was the Word, and the Word was with
beginning,
God.
God created heavens and earth.
Okay.
But what about that point Brother Naz made? I think you ought to know it. He says the crucifixion does not prove Jesus to be the Messiah. On the contrary, it's the opposite.
No.
Why don't you take him up on that?
The crucifixion.
Take him up on that.
The fact that he rose from the dead proves he's God.
But what's the proof that he raised from the dead and not resuscitated or revived?
The fact that he rose from the dead proves he's God.
So
Why?
What's the facts?
Why would I say? If I say to you, my purpose for coming to this earth,
He's not engaging in it. Huh?
No, it's fine. Listen, what's your purpose for coming?
He's not engaging.
I'm not engaging. I'm trying to explain to him, but you can't.
No, but you have to understand what he's saying.
Hang on a minute. I'm trying to explain
All right,
something
okay,
to
carry
him.
on.
And
Sorry.
now you say,
I apologize.
Can I talk to him now?
Yes, sure.
Without your interruption.
Sure, I apologize.
Okay, now,
Sorry.
in the beginning, God created heavens and earth. Do you understand that? Do you know where they come from? The first verse of Genesis.
Yeah.
Right. The first two chapters in Genesis talks about the creation.
Yeah, that's
Okay?
right.
And the third verse of the third chapter in Genesis talks about the fall of man.
Yeah.
Okay? Now in that chapter, God says, I will crush death.
Yeah.
I will crush death.
He will crush the head of the serpent. And
Guys, I'm gonna
he
get some
will
water.
strike. Okay.
Can I
yeah,
get you some water?
I'm okay.
You sure?
I just had some Pepsi, so thank you. Yeah.
You will crush the enemy. You will crush
Genesis
death.
3:15 or 16.
It's just
yeah.
easier. You'll come across clearer. And Michael.
You understand what I'm saying?
Can I get you some water? Tea,
No, I'm good.
fish and chips.
I'm good.
Michael.
What's this guy doing?
Yeah,
So basically, God said, I will crush death. I will crucify. I will crush death.
Okay.
Okay. Then he said how you will do it.
Yeah.
The Old Testament tells us how he would do it. In the New Testament,
Shows how.
it's how he did it.
I see. Okay.
So God came in the form of man, lived a sinless life. Because remember, the Passover. Do you know what the Passover is?
It was to remember the Jews being rescued from Egypt.
The Passover lamb that was slaughtered.
Yeah, oh, okay.
Right? The Passover lamb that was slaughtered, the spotless lamb that was slaughtered on Passover is a representation of the Messiah.
Oh, okay.
Okay, the spotless means no blemish.
Yeah, physical defect.
No defects.
Yeah.
So every Passover for 1,500 years, the Israelites sacrificed spotless lamb, an animal, right? So for 1,500 years, the Christian crucifixion was portrayed.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Do you understand? So for 1,500 years, every Passover, there was a lamb slaughtered for the sins of the people.
Yeah. You know, Jesus ate the Passover meal as well.
Yes.
In the Synoptic Gospels.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So when the crucifixion, when for the 1,500 years.
Yeah, before Jesus.
So for 1,500 years, the Israelites, the Jews, they celebrate Passover.
Yeah.
And they slaughtered this lamb for their sins.
It wasn't a sin sacrifice.
No, it was a sin sacrifice.
It was to commemorate or to remember the Exodus.
No, it was a sin sacrifice.
Where does it say it was a sin sacrifice?
Because
I know in John's Gospel it says that, but in the Old Testament it doesn't say
no,
it was.
if you go read Exodus, it talks about the Passover lamb for the sins. Because in order for sins to be forgiven,
you mean the Day of Atonement?
The blood of an animal had to be shed for the sins of the people.
That was the Day of Atonement. That wasn't for Passover.
Same thing.
It's not the same thing, but.
But anyway, the lamb had to be slaughtered for the sins of the people. Okay, so
or a goat.
So in the Exodus, the lamb blood was put on the doorpost, and death came, and whoever had the blood would not die.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
Now, Jesus was born. Do you understand what I'm getting at? So 2,000 years, so 6,000 years, the death of Jesus was prophesied.
Yeah.
Jesus was born. 33 years later, Jesus was crucified. So the crucifixion, that crucifixion is the slaughter of the lamb, is the death of the lamb. So Jesus is a representation of that representation of the lamb.
What would you say is the evidence that Jesus was crucified and resurrected?
The evidence is
just because it says so doesn't mean it did.
Okay, so
it was
the
true.
Evidence. So the fact,
like he has
without the resurrection, without the death and resurrection, the Christian faith dead.
Yeah, including the prophecies in the Old Testament. Because you can't say because it was said it was fulfilled. You have to first prove it was fulfilled. Then you can say the prophecies were true.
It was prophesied.
But if Jesus did not rise, then it means the prophecies are false.
Have you ever read Isaiah 53?
Yes.
So what is it talks about, Isaiah 53?
Yeah, so it speaks about Jeremiah.
No.
Because Jeremiah quotes it in Jeremiah 11. Jeremiah quotes...
No. You said where was it prophesied?
No, not where it was prophesied, but if Jesus did not resurrect from the dead,
53.
then Isaiah 53 would be a false prophecy.
Yes.
That's why if he didn't resurrect,
if he wasn't killed if he wasn't killed and resurrected,
Yeah.
that is false.
Exactly. So you would have to prove that he was resurrected for that to be true.
No, but he was resurrected.
So what's the proof?
Said, no, the proof is, Jesus says, after 3 days, I will rise.
Okay. But none of the disciples knew about him rising from the dead
No,
on the third day.
No, they weren't there.
Yeah.
According to the Gospels, they weren't there, but
Yeah.
they saw him afterwards.
Well,
because he
according to John, they went to the empty tomb and they
Yes.
saw nothing. So then they went back,
So they
not
thought
realizing.
that he was stolen, that the body was stolen. But then
Yeah.
he appeared to Mary
Yeah.
and to 500 other people. And then the Gospel of John talks about doubting Thomas, where
Yeah.
he talks about put your hands into my feet, or put your hands in my side and see that it's me.
But if Jesus predicted that he would rise from the dead on the third day,
Yes.
the disciples wouldn't have believed that his body was stolen. They
No,
would have
but-
known
no, but they, yeah, I
that he
understand
was
what-
going to
yeah,
come
but
back on the third day.
Remember, Peter denied him 3 times, and Peter thought he was crazy, and it's only afterwards that they remembered. Because if you read the Gospels very clearly,
Yeah.
it talks about they doubted.
So why doesn't John's gospel not mention the passion prediction of Jesus being handed over and being killed and then resurrecting on the third day? John's gospel
Why does
doesn't
why
have.
does it not?
John says the opposite.
Yeah,
in
but
fact. Yeah.
remember.
John says that they were not aware
I
that he
understand.
would
There's a lot
rise.
of things that's different in every.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things different. Like this, the Gospel of Luke talks about things. The Gospel of John, from chapter 13, is the last week.
The supper.
The last
yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Like the last week of his life. So now you got to think. Okay, so if John is only, if the Gospel of John is only 21 verses or 21 chapters long.
Yeah.
If I go from chapter 12 and I go
Okay.
to the last week of his life.
The last 10 chapters.
Yes, the last 10 chapters is about that last week.
Okay.
He doesn't talk about. There's not a lot of space to talk about the rest of his life.
Yeah. So last
that's
8
where
chapters. But yeah.
that's where the other gospels come in. They patch up these things. Because remember, the Holy Spirit will reveal to people in specific places and specific things where they then will, where it talks about like this person, like Matthew talks about where he was talking about the Mount of, what is it, chapter 6, where he's talking about, can't remember exactly what it was, but nowhere in
Is there a
Mark,
prophecy or something?
no, he was talking to people.
Okay.
He was talking to people and he was saying to them,
You know, that prophecy would still, like, even in the New Testament, if Jesus prophesies his resurrection on the third day, you will still have to prove his resurrection for that prophecy to be true. Because if Jesus did not rise from the dead, then that would make that prophecy to be false, and that would make him a false prophet. Hence, the crucifixion doesn't prove Jesus to be the true Messiah. But the Quran defends him by saying he wasn't crucified. So he was the true Messiah, the true prophet.
Jesus was not a prophet.
He calls himself a prophet.
He does